a bit of a dust-up at the Alberta Legislature this week when Rachel Notley, the Premier, accused Greg Clark, the leader of the Alberta Party, of mansplaining pipeline politics to her. Frankly, Greg Clark was sort of mansplaining, but you have to understand that this is a bit like soccer injuries, in which people fall down on the ground and pretend to be more injured than they actually are. So Rachel Notley pretended to be more offended than she was, Greg Clark pretended to be more hurt than he was, and the Speaker eventually ruled that mansplaining was kind of okay. But this got me to thinking. We have a fine tradition in this province dating back to 1905 of people calling each other terrible things in the legislature and speakers having to rule on just how bad they are. The librarians kindly sent to me a list of all the very bad things that members of the legislature have called one another from 1905 to 2012. Here's what I've learned. In Alberta, you cannot compare someone to Adolf Hitler, the Ayatollah Khomeini, Pontius Pilate, or Margaret Thatcher. You can't call them a card-carrying communist, an empire-building socialist, a Nazi, or a fascist. But really, Alberta's MLAs seem to have a penchant for calling each other animal names. Here's a partial list of just some of the animals who you can't be compared to in Alberta's legislature. MLAs cannot call each other barking dogs, fat wingless ducks, froggies in a pond, jackasses. You can't be called a mouse, or a monkey, or a pufferfish, or a rat, or a sheep, or a skunk, or a trained seal, or a weasel. I think that pretty much takes us through the zoo. Here are some of my favorite longer insults from MLAs past. In 1989, someone was cautioned by the Speaker for referring to a colleague as having the longest tongue and the emptiest head. You cannot call somebody the Minister of Gobbledygook or the Minister for Economic Terrorism. You can't say, quote, "Why don't you get an operation and have your lips attached to your brain?" And you can't say of a member that he has no idea where his wife might be. Compared to that, mansplaining seems pretty tame.